All right, so let's go. This is a free weekly training called Become a Productivity Warrior. And this, I will tell you, is what every agent must know that most coaches won't tell them, right? So most of the traditional methods out there aren't getting getting agents paid. Well, maybe they're getting them paid a little bit more, but they don't have any freedom whatsoever. And they're sort of a slave to their business, which is not what we want. If you have not picked up the Critical Activity Success Tracker, actually do this. I'm not going to drop a link in the chat. Drop the word success. Drop the word success wherever you're watching this. Drop the word success, and my team will get you a copy of this document. And this is a critical piece of the puzzle here. If you want to make as much money as you possibly can in real estate, and also work the kind of hours that you want to work, business hours, less than 40 hours a week, right? Disconnect time and money. That's what we're after in Real Estate B School. So this is a quote that I pulled up recently, Tim Tebow. Don't worry about what you can control. Don't worry about what you can control. Our focus and energy needs to be on the things we can control. Attitude, effort, focus. These are the things we can control. So a question to kind of kick off our time today. If attitude, effort, and focus are the inputs we can't control, where are you coming up short? And this was a question that I asked myself. So sometimes it may sound like I'm preaching, only because I'm a couple steps ahead of you, maybe in a few areas of business, and I've made more mistakes than you have. But I am not preaching when I'm teaching most of this stuff. This is constant reminders for me. This is what got me to a certain place. These are the same principles that are going to get me to my next level, right? So where are you coming up short? For me, it's not attitude. It's not effort. Right now, it's 100% focus. I'm just scattered a little bit in terms of my focus. I've got like 10 things I'm focusing on, and it's violating every rule that I would ever teach anyone that wants to be super successful in business when it comes to time and money freedom. So let's get into it. So you may be feeling frustrated because you're not making the kind of money that you want, or maybe you're making good money, but you're working too many hours. You're letting those down that you love. There's this competing priorities that is constantly an issue in real estate, and just the onslaught of the dings and the notifications and all of the social media and Netflix and news and like all of the distractions for the most part. So there are extraordinary things going on in terms of taking your attention. And there's just a lot to do as a real estate agent. Real estate agents have fully 12 different jobs that they do when it comes from generating an inquiry in terms of using them as a buyer or seller's agent, and getting them through the transaction closed, and then communicating them, for the long term in your Clients for Life program. So there's just a ton to do, 12 different jobs, but there is hope. I obsess over building systems that allow you to increase your net worth and take more time off, so that you can put the things that matter most in your life first. That's the promise. A little bit about me. I don't normally sort of talk about me. I figured I would take one of these free trainings and just let you guys know. I love being a dad, love being a husband. I love everything about business, the good, the bad, ugly. I have a podcast that I enjoy, Real Estate Business Builders. I wrote a book, Scale or Die. In 2008, that was my first full year in real estate. I sold 44 homes. During those Great Recession years, I was able to scale that business up to 453 homes. And that day I worked 42 days, over 5,000 families served in terms of their real estate needs in my real estate business. Over 1,000 agents actually have been through Real Estate B School. So I've been at the coaching game here for a decade. I've got an amazing financial snapshot. I've got awesome residual income. I work an amazing schedule, but I didn't have a great hand dealt to me, coming into this world. Really chaotic childhood. Parents divorced at 4. My dad was an alcoholic, drank until I was 15, had student loans for a career that I did not pursue. I didn't have any sales, marketing, or business building experience, but I did have a desire to grow. And I have made every mistake you could possibly make in business, probably in my personal life, in my marriage, with my kids. I have been on the yo-yo of, gaining weight and losing weight. I've made all the mistakes you can possibly make. So I promise you, anything I give you perspective on, it comes from like actual experience. And I will warn you, there are some, gurus out there that are teaching stuff they haven't experienced, which I guess in the analogy of like Michael Jordan's coach wasn't as good as him, I suppose that could work. That's not my style though. So everything I will teach you is from something that I've experienced or something that I know the details on because there's someone in our community going through that issue or they've had that success, right? So for me, this is 2007, my first full year, no, not my first full year, first 10 months in real estate. I sold 27 homes. I was out of bounds. I was working all the time. A couple years later, Kendall comes into the world. That was 2010. That year, we sold 118 homes. I think I sold half of them. I had a small team, a couple agents, and a full-time administrator. This was our first family vacation. I worked on a deal that didn't close, and I ruined the vacation. It was a debacle. My motivation, though, is my dad. He's the ultimate E-Myth. If you've ever read the book by Michael Gerber, E-Myth Revisited, the entrepreneurial myth, right? This business got the best of him. 33 years, he owned this business. He was a hairstylist. That's how my parents met in Sweden, and didn't have anything to show for his efforts. He was making under less than $10,000 probably for the last 5-7 years of owning that business. And I think it contributed to his, for sure he was addicted to alcohol, but I'm sure it contributed to that, the stress of this failing business and doing all the jobs and having no freedom as a result of it. So I built a pretty good life for myself. Most of the time it looks like this. This was actually one of our Christmas cards one year. So I cannot say that anything I do is perfect, but we have a good time doing it. So all that to say, I've kind of experienced the journey, and I built a coaching company as a result of it because I wanted to make the journey to financial and time freedom for real estate agents easier. That's the motivation. So let's get back to the topic. What should you know when it comes to productivity and becoming a productivity warrior? That everything I will teach you is super simple. It is like mind-blowing simple, the stuff that I'm going to teach you, but it's not easy. You could literally do the things I tell you to do out of this training, and you will not recognize where you are financially in the next 3, 6, 12, 24 months. As the market is shifting, you will be taking your unfair share of the market. And there are some ugly frogs. If you've read the book by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog, there are some ugly frogs we need to deal with on a daily basis. But the things that we'll talk about in terms of dedicating parts of your day to the things that generate, serious dollar productive activities. I'm talking $1,000 plus per hour that you can make in real estate if you do the things. So this is where the rubber meets the road and where the real money is made in real estate. And then you're just going to have to be honest with yourself. If you're setting a goal to make $20 or $30 or $40,000 a month as a real estate agent, or $100,000 a month or more, you have to be honest with yourself about where you're spending your time, what you're focusing on. And this is me talking to you, but it's coming right back on me. I'm fully distracted on some things, and I think the net results could be not exactly awesome. And so this is me needing to be honest with myself as well. So we all go through this cycle. So let's talk specifically how we get there. I've got 5 or 6 things that I want to go through. Number one, and if you've been on these weekly trainings before, you've heard me talk about this, and I'm always going to go back to it. It is to know your worth. The Business Freedom Index is, we call it the BFI, where it takes the money that you're making and you divide it by the hours you're working, and it's pre-tax dollars. So let's say your AGI and your tax return for last year, adjusted gross income, pre-tax, was $250,000. Let's say you worked 50 hours a week, and that's 50 times 50. Let's say 50 weeks. Let's say you took 2 weeks off. That's 2,500 hours. So $250,000 divided by 2,500 hours is $100 per hour. That's what your BFI is today. The thing that I did different, I just decided that I wanted to make $500,000 working 2,000 hours, even though I hadn't done it yet. I wanted to make $250 an hour. That's the math on 500,000 divided by 2,000. And then when I hit that, I'm like, well, I want to make $500 an hour. So what does it look like to make, $750,000 working 1,500 hours? So taking my income up and my hours down. And then what does it look like to make $1,000 an hour? And ultimately in my real estate business, I earned something like $3,300 per hour, because it was leveraged, it was profitable, it was built on the right economic model, and it was a really well-run business. So even if you're not even thinking about that kind of money, this principle still applies. So it's really about knowing what your current number is, knowing what you want that number to be, and then just declaring that you're not going to work on all the things that drag that number down. Right. Number two here is that we need to be productive and not busy. Real estate agents are just like chickens with their heads cut off. They're essentially running and gunning all day long, and they think they're busy and they're checking off to-do lists, and, but they're running business errands. They're like dropping a check off. They're going to show a home. They're meeting an inspector. Like, they're not really making a ton of money doing those activities. This is the best definition I've heard of productivity. If you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of being productive in a single day against this definition, and work toward getting that rating up over time, the game would be over. You'd achieve all your financial goals. It would be amazing, right? So productivity is the deliberate strategic investment of your time, talent, intelligence, energy, resources, and opportunities in a manner calculated to move you measurably closer to meaningful goals. So look back. Okay, yesterday, was I deliberate and strategic with my time, my energy, and my resources? Did I move measurably closer to meaningful goals? No, I did not, right? A 1 out of 5, right? Okay, so what will I do today to be more deliberate, more strategic with my time, with my energy, with my talents, with my resources, to move closer to, you know what I mean? So this is awesome. Once you truly understand that this definition, everything will change for you. And you need to focus more on activities. If you're going to put the hours in, why not work on things that make you a lot of money in the time that you're working on? So like high return on time activities, right? That's the name of the game. This is the game that we're playing, and you will see this 100 times if you stay in my world. I don't think this game is going to change anytime soon. There are lots of folks on the left side, top of funnel, that are claiming, and maybe even it's working, the easy button, that like, do this and you're just going to have a ton of stuff. YouTube or social media or whatever the thing is. I just haven't found it to translate into a sustainable way to do real estate. Right. So we have all of those things. We have like 7 proven lead gen levers in Real Estate B School. All are good for 25 plus transactions per year once you get them fully implemented in your business. But the whole game is played really in steps 1 through 4. And when you think about, meaningful conversations, are you having them every day? Appointment set. Are you setting consultations with buyers and sellers every day? Are you meeting with buyers and sellers to sign them as clients every day? And are they signing up with you? And are you tracking your numbers, right? So that's that critical activity success tracker that I'll go through here in a little bit. So you have to work your plans: prospecting, lead follow-up, appointments, negotiating contracts the first time, not appraisal, not repairs, and systems. Those are the 5 things that make you money in real estate. If you're spending most of your day not doing any of those, then you're not in the game of becoming financially free. And you just have to be honest with yourself about it. And, be in a like-minded community where you're working with others that share, and obviously there's a selfish sort of motivation there. This is what Real Estate B School does. But you have to be working toward, spending more time in the things that make you money. And that's the game of business. So I honor the fact that the struggle is real. I don't dismiss it. I know it's tricky. I know you can feel overwhelmed, and there's personal constraints and limitations, and all of it. I've been at this for a long, long time, so I get all of that, but you've got to make the commitment that you're going to change things going forward. I'm not going to go into the models that we've discovered in terms of how we structure businesses, but just know that there is a right way and a wrong way to think about your business in terms of being a slave to the business and achieving true business freedom. So this is a cleaner version of this here, where all you need to know for now is that whether you know it or not, your business has 4 drivers, and you're either doing the right things to develop and foundationally firm up those drivers or not. On the outside here, you have the accelerators. So let's take attract, that drive. Let's take convert. So convert, you have lead management, right? 90% of folks aren't ready to transact or become a client of yours when you make first contact with them. Do you have lead management systems in place? Text sequences, email sequences, video sequences, right? Appointment setting. Do you know what to say? Do you know how to get them to show pre-sold on your services? And then the consultation process. Do you have buyer packets, listing packets, pre-list packets, buyer consultation, presentation, virtual or in person? Same thing on the listing side, right? So you have to start to think about your business in this context in order to grow, in order to scale, in order to achieve true freedom. And so the third point here is that there's freedom in structure. And if you've been on these trainings, I've taught this point before, so I'm not going to belabor it. You have to create your ideal week. In that PDF that you can grab, this goes through that. There's an exercise that goes through exactly how to structure your ideal week, but you've got to declare what you want your week to look like. And that's personally and professionally. So you're not working on a Thursday evening when you predetermined, early on your Sunday planning session that Thursday evening was going to be a family night, right? So you make commitments, you create your week. You don't let business and your clients create your week. And then it really is time blocking. So this is one of those like stupidly simple things that most agents don't do, and they'll never get ahead as a result of it. And you need to protect your morning time blocks. You need to protect your morning time blocks. And we already covered, be honest with yourself. But if you don't have time dedicated every day for new business development, I don't even care how you generate new business. You could be like on Facebook Messenger, leaving messages for people. You could be texting people. You could be, setting up coffee appointments, with your people that refer business to you regularly. I don't care what it is. It just needs to be protected. You need to honor those time blocks. And then right after that time block, you must do lead follow-up. 90% of people aren't ready to do something in your CRM, your client relationship management software. You need to be able to sort of set to-dos to have follow-up conversations with people that aren't ready to go. That's like sales 101. If you're not doing that, get into a community or get into a program that will teach you how to do that, and just be honest with yourself. And you've got to turn pro. There's a really good book by Stephen Pressfield. Well, I wouldn't even say it's a really great book, but it had a massive impact on me. And it talks about, whether you win or lose, whether you set a consultation today or not, you're still going to do the activities required to set consultations, right? If your goal is to set, one consultation a day with a buyer or seller, you set 2 in the first 30 minutes, you don't stop your new business development time block, right? Because you're a pro, you've committed to the 2 or 3 hours, and you just do the work. And that's how you scale the business. You turn pro. And it's just like building a muscle, right? So if you haven't worked out or you haven't taken care of your physical body, it's going to seem painful at first. You're not going to want to do it until you do it. And then it's just part of who you are. I've seen this transition. This has been an area that I've struggled in my physical body. And I was not an early riser, but I committed to be in the best shape of my life. This year, I'll turn 50. I committed to be in the best shape of my life, and I was going to do what it took to get there. So I was not honoring the fact that I wanted to work out 5 days a week. I'm like, when can I work out where there's no distractions? And like, let me really think about this, and where am I wasting 2 hours a day that I can grab that time back and put it back into my physical body, and everything would be better as a result of it. It was cutting out 2 hours of TV a night, which is right. a sacrifice that you have to be willing to make. That was sacrifice for me. It was not doing Netflix every night, removing the television from my bedroom, which my wife, I was dishonoring her all these years really by having it in there. And then getting up at 4:45. I'm not saying you have to get up at 4:45, but for me, I'm working out from essentially 5 to 6. And then we have this infrared sauna. So I'm doing that. I'm watching some YouTube videos from some business guys that I follow. And it's like, I'm unstoppable coming out of that. And nobody's awake in the house, right? So you've got to commit to those things in your business, using that as an example. And the good thing is, most won't do this. That's the best part of this in our industry, is that if you commit to this path of productivity, you will be in a world of very few agents that are doing it. Most won't do it. And that's actually good news, right? You have to decide to do it, but it's good news that most agents won't do this. So I'm not going to get into the tools you'll need for this, but there are certain technology tools and ways to set them up. And these are low cost, high return tools that we teach that you will need to have in place to be able to do this at a high level. And then the last part is to track your numbers and really getting this critical activities tracker. I'm going to actually go through it on this screen, so you can just grab a copy of it. What did I say? Success. Yeah, success. Put it in wherever you're seeing this, whether it's on Facebook or whether it's on YouTube. Type in the word success, and my team will get you this. The first part there is just on a daily basis on a single piece of paper. And this is a 13-week. So you're going to print this out. It's going to cover you for 13 weeks. So you'll print out 4 of these a year. And you're going to cover your meaningful conversations, whether you set appointments, met them, signed them on the buyer side, listing side. That second part there, every day, you're going to write down the money-making activities that you're going to do that day. And then, when you're going to start them, when you're going to stop them. It's going to help you with the time blocking part, which is your ideal, that this is what your week is going to look like. And there's a Monday through Friday. So over a 13-week period, over essentially a quarter, you are going to be able to really hone in on where you're spending your time. This is profoundly simple. And probably, if you don't do any of this right now, this is the most impactful thing you could ever do for yourself, that you could ever do for your family. Yes, I know this is a free training. And yes, I know this is a big give, but I really want you to get results being sort of out of my world so that you could come into my world ultimately and get massive results. Awesome quote by James Clear out of the book Atomic Habits. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Another quote, becoming the type of person you want to become, someone who lives by a stronger standard, someone who believes in themselves, someone who could be counted on by the people that matter to them, is about the daily process you follow and not the ultimate product you achieve. And I have really seen that play out over my 15 years in real estate, 10 years as a business coach to the industry. It's about the daily process you follow. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about John. He's a dear friend of mine, a business partner of mine. He spent 3 years, consulting with him. He was in my market. It was a big ask when he called me because I hadn't had anyone in my market in my highest level of our coaching program at the time. And he said, would you consider, helping me, grow and scale my business? And I did, and he lives in Bozeman, Montana now. He's 1,300 miles away from our market and just lives an awesome life with his wife, Jen, and their daughter, Jane, and they're on a ranch out there in Bozeman. It's just an amazing testimony. I think tripled their business. He was eyeballs up into buyers and sellers, and was able to build out systems and really embody this mindset of leverage and how to disconnect time and money. It's a really cool thing when you figure it out. So here's the bottom line, is the income you've been making in real estate is simply the result of the choices you've been making with your time. And I get there are personal circumstances and all of that. This is the coolest part of business. And there's a few really cool parts of business, but the fact that we're given all the same hours in a week, and we can make choices on how to spend that time, and for whatever season that we're in, to spend our time doing the things, enough repetitions to get good at them so that we can make ridiculous money, so we can buy our time back, so that we can, this is all an ascension process. And I think it's just very, very cool. So if you want results faster, if you want to run further faster, here is my ask to you. Become our next case study. If you haven't been on Real Estate B School and click on results, you'll see there's just a bunch of case studies. I want you to become our next case study. Go to rebscasestudyprogram.com. There's a lot of information on there, and there's a video that kind of leads you in there. Take the time to read it and consider becoming our next case study. You'll have access to everything that you'll need to grow your business. You get access to me coaching you. One of our business coaches who did 150 transactions last year will be coaching you. We do a production mastermind every Tuesday. You get daily accountability. It is a ridiculous amount of value for the investment that you'll make, and it has $100,000 guarantee. If you don't make $100,000 more income than you did in the last 12 months, you've got to show up, you've got to do the work. But if you don't make more money by 100,000, we'll work with you until you get there for free. So go to, and here's the thing, if you have any questions, so go to REBS case study program, read through it. If you have questions, jump over and grab a growth assessment. It's a quick call. Just say, hey, listen, I will watch the free training. It's going to be either with me or Ben. So these are the two coaches that you'll have anyway. It's not a sales call. It's to see if you qualify, if you have any questions. And it's rebsgrowthassessment.com. That's all I've got for you guys now. Much love, much respect. If you want to grow and scale your business, I would definitely look at our case study program. Something I'm super proud of. We're offering a significant savings with a special invite. We'll talk to you guys soon.